Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. The session is starting any moment from now.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا ليعذب الله المنافقين والمنافقات والمشركين والمشركات ويتوب الله على المؤمنين والمؤمنات وكان الله غفورا رحيما.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
The mosque is the soul of the Muslim community.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم. I think considering the month wherein the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given birth to, it's worth celebrating. And with that, I say, Salli ala Muhammad, Salli ala Muhammad, Allahumma ya Rabbi, Salli ala Muhammad, wa Sayyidi Sadati, Nabi Muhammad, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And with that, I welcome you on to All You Who Believe, reaching you live on our Dear Darling session that is on none other than our own platform, that is excitement all over. Yes, it's a regular one that we do have from Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center, and every Wednesday. Please, I just want to appeal to you. Tell your friends, family members, loved ones, colleagues to join, especially as we are treating something very, very germane, something very, very important that has to do with a blessing, a very special one that God Almighty has granted you and I. So you don't toy with it. You don't toy with it. It's a treasure that we need to keep very, very well. Let me just keep that hidden somewhere, as we have a special guest in the house who will be talking about our health today. But before then, let me also remind you that being September, we are looking at our health, healthy living, and more. We are raising funds, and why not just talk to Sister Sideko, who will put you through how you can raise funds for the organization towards the rebuild of our mosque. Yet, you keep healthy. That and many more announcements that we will talk about later on. But before then, let me quickly invite one of the students of Old Kent Road Mosque, Markaz, in the person of Ismail Akinyemi, who will recite some portions of the Quran for us. And with that, we move on to the next session. Ismail, are you ready? Sheikh Ismail. Bismillah.
السلام عليكم.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والهب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجان من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان رب المشرقين ورب المغربين فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان صدق الله العظيم.
Okay, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil thank you very much for that, Sheikh. Inshallah, Imam Lola Ismail Akiyemi, may Allah Azza wa Jalla make the Quran light in your life and may it also be a source of blessing to you in this world and the hereafter. May God Almighty bless your parents and bless your teachers. May God Almighty bless every one of us who listen attentively to that beautiful recitation of some portions of Surah Al-Rahman. Which of Allah's mercy, of His blessings, can you deny? That is very, very apt, especially towards what we shall be discussing, a big blessing that Allah had granted you and I. How well are we taking care of it? I will also want to quickly remind us, please ensure that you sign the gift aid form, and we also need people who can join us in the collection of bucket collection every Friday or wherever we have been invited in order to raise funds for our mosque, the rebuild of the mosque. We pray Allah Azza wa Jalla to help us achieve this goal in very, very short time. And with that, I come to my own part of the first session by introducing our moderator today, our father, our teacher, a mentor, highly respected professor of law from School of Oriental and African Studies, Fadilatu Sheikh Professor Moshood Adebayo Badiori, who will be moderating this session. I hand over to you, sir.
Jazakumullah khair jaza, Madam Abdul Ghani. Thank you so much, for starting us off. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We thank Allah for sparing our lives, to witness all you who believe for this week. And I also join in welcoming all our audience to the platform tonight. As our anchor did mention, today we have a special guest who will be speaking to us on a very special, topic. I'm really very privileged to introduce our guest speaker today, Sister Roselyn Ajekum. Did I pronounce your name well? Yeah.
Well spotted, nearly there.
Okay,
Yeah,
very
well
well.
spotted. Thank
Sister
you.
Roselyn Ajekum. She's a community kidney nurse researcher. She's a lead nurse at the King's College Hospital and a senior lecturer at King's College in London. She leads a South East London-based project, which is aimed at identifying early onset of kidney disease using culturally tailored sensitization and point-of-care approaches to protect kidney function in people of the African Caribbean heritage. So I mean, therefore she is really um, very she will really be very, very useful to this platform because most of the audience are of African Caribbean heritage. She recently collaborated with Kidney Research UK to present a petition to the UK Parliament highlighting the need for the government focus on kidney health. You know, she volunteers with Sodor Council as health ambassador with an emphasis on promoting overall health and reducing health inequalities within forgotten communities. You know, she's doing quite a lot of work. I mean, especially within the African Caribbean heritage sector in the UK. Um, she will be speaking today on my health, looking after God's greatest blessing. No, I mean that topic is really very eye-catching because I mean, this is a religious platform, and we've said it several times here. The importance of her health is, I mean, it's a trust which God has given us, and we should look after it. Most of us Muslims on this platform will remember the Prophet said in a particular tradition, he said, there are two blessings which God has given to every human being, but which we do not treasure until we lose it. The first one is health, and the second one is free time. So both, so free time and health. So we are really all ears. I mean, Sister Rosalind, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, I mean, for honoring our call. And what we normally say, I mean, we in the Muslim faith, we believe that, you know, we have two scales. We have a scale of good deeds and a scale of bad deeds. Every human being has that. So every good that we do, we normally pray that may God put this in your scale of good deeds. May God count it as part of your scale of good deeds and reward you for it. So Sister Rosalind will be speaking for 20 minutes. And then after that, I know there will be a lot of questions. We normally give you 20 minutes to speak and then to take questions. And since this is a very, very important topic, I mean, it affects every one of us. I mean, kidney disease is very hidden. We don't know it until it hits you hard, so this is why we really, really appreciate your coming. So don't let me take, I mean, much of the time from you. So I'll hand the platform over to you to give us your presentation on this very intriguing topic on health, which is, I mean, God's blessing to us, which we should look after. Okay, the platform is yours, Roslyn. You are
Thank you
muted.
very much. Thank you
Okay,
very
yeah.
much. It's interesting you use the word hidden because the project I am actually working on is called Hidden.
Oh, I see.
So the reason it
Interesting.
is called hidden, it is health inequalities, identifying the timely need to identify the disease. So abbreviated, it is hidden. So when you use the word hidden, I thought we are right on the spot. So thank
Yeah.
you very much, my brothers, daddies, uncles, for inviting me this evening. And another thing you also mentioned was that the first part of my slide, I had put exactly what you said, two blessings God has given us, health, and then I had used leisure, and then you said freedom. But thank you, free
Exactly. Yeah.
time. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. What I had to do was I had to do my own studies before I had to read the Quran before coming to
Oh,
present this to
that's
understand
interesting.
which part of the Quran relates to health because it is important. I also do this in the churches. So if I'm doing that, I would add Bible verses. So it's important that I did the same here because I know we all have faith and we have that strong connection between the spiritual self and then the physical self. So what I would like to do is to briefly talk about what exactly does our kidneys do, and then why we need to urgently act because a lot of people are reporting with poor kidney health. and King's College where I work, and Delaware, my colleague is on the line, Delaware as well, but 40% of the patients or the people we see are me. And that is how I represent it. 40% of the patients we see are me. So then the onus falls on us to actually do something about that. I also want us to briefly look at the link between the heart and the kidneys, importance of knowing our own kidney health, and then how we test for kidney health, as well as ways in which we can promote kidney health. 10%. Sorry about that. I have my little boy muttering. Sorry about that. So
That's
our
okay.
heart, amazingly, and this is something we don't realize, that our heart beat 100,000 times in a day. But the most important thing the heart is doing is ensuring that every tissue within the body gets enough blood to function. And a quarter of this blood goes directly to the kidneys. And that is, you can immediately see the relationship between the heart and the kidneys. So, of the 8 liters of blood that the heart is sending to all the parts of the body, a quarter of that goes to the kidneys alone. So if something happens to the heart, it's only a matter of time it will happen to the kidneys as well, or the kidneys will respond or react to whatever is happening to the heart. Okay. So exactly what does my heart do? Like I've talked about sending blood to every part of the body, but I cannot breathe if my heart is not working very well. So this is the air I breathe. I need a healthy heart to actually be able to breathe. Okay. Also, the heart gets rid of waste. So after I have eaten, the body absorbs every food I've eaten, but the heart needs to send this good blood to every part of the body. And the blood that has been used, the heart has to take that blood, send it back to the lungs to remove some of the carbon dioxide from it. But this blood needs to go to the kidneys for the kidneys to remove every toxin in the blood and make sure the body functions very well. So if we talk about the kidneys, what exactly are they? We have two. And here I'm going to be controversial. We all have two, but we actually need one. One is what I call the greatest blessing. It's a gift of life. So when we transplant somebody, we don't give them two kidneys occasionally, but we take one from somebody who had healthy kidneys, and then we give it to another person whose kidneys are not working. So we all have two. They all sit nicely at the back, and they are protected by our rib bones on each side. But what exactly do they do? Inside each of the kidney are thousand, I call them millions of filters. These are very, very tiny, tiny blood vessels that we cannot see with our eyes. Very, very tiny. And I've said if we can try and pull a strand of silk hair, just one tiny strand, those are the size of the blood vessels in the kidneys, very, very tiny. And because they are so small and tiny and fragile, they cannot withstand excessive pressure or what we call high pressure from the heart. So if somebody has high blood pressure, it's only a matter of time before this pressure is then exerted or transferred onto the kidneys. And the kidneys, these small blood vessels, are going to be affected. Oh, sorry. So we looked at the initial slide where we said 8,000 liters of blood is filtered in a day or goes through the heart, and a quarter of that comes to the kidney. So if you look at it, the kidneys are receiving about 1,200, both kidneys. In a day, 1,700 liters in a day. That is 3,592.7 pints. That is a lot of fluid going through these very tiny organs. However, they function very well if there is no problem. If we are to take those small blood vessels that I said in the kidneys and spread them out, they would be about 10 kilometers. Imagine. God is wonderful. Really, really wonderful. Such small organs. to have such a large capacity. And whilst that large capacity is good, it is also the reason why the initial part of kidney health or poor kidney health is hidden, because the body is going to adapt and adjust to until we have lost almost 70% of this 10 kilometers before we start seeing that there's a problem with the kidneys. So when we look at the kidneys exactly, what do they do? For me to be able to walk with strong bones and muscles, I need my kidneys to be working very well. My heart to be able to regulate that pressure of sending blood throughout my whole body, I need my kidneys to be working very well. And since morning, we've had breakfast, lunch, dinner, probably. I need my kidneys to be working very well to take what my body needs and what our body needs, but also to get rid of the rest that the body doesn't need. And that is what the kidney does. Without us actually blinking or doing anything, the kidney is doing all of that. One essential thing the kidney does is making sure that I have enough blood. So that is what the kidney does. It has a special hormone that it produces to make sure I have enough blood so that, as we call it, I do not get anemia or my blood level really goes very low. So if we are talking about kidney health issues, what is it exactly and should we be worried about them? So what I'm talking about today is not the short-term kidney health issues, what we'll call acute kidney injury, but I'm talking about the long-term poor kidney health. And it is a gradual process. So like I said, the initial part, it does not show any symptoms at all. And nobody knows that they even have any problem at all. However, in the clinic, what we'll normally do is that most of the time when people come to the clinic or they go to the GP would sometimes run some tests. And if the GP notices that there is something wrong with the kidney, we would check it again. So if we see that either the kidney is not able to get rid of the waste as it is supposed to do, or we see that it is not able to produce the hormone that we need to make the red blood cells, as well as other functions, we would repeat the test again to find out whether this is a one-off thing or whether this is an ongoing problem. However, we know that there are a lot of risk factors that can lead to poor kidney health. And when we look at the two big risk factors for us, people of African, Afro-Caribbean ancestry, the two big risk factors are diabetes and hypertension. However, we have hereditary conditions as well that plays a significant role. So diabetes, pre-diabetes, that is whether the individual is overweight or whether the individual even has a family member who has diabetes, whether it is mother, brother, with type 2 diabetes or whether they're overweight or being physically inactive actually increases the risk of developing type 2 diabetes and hence that impact on developing poor kidney health in the longer term. And then when we look at hypertension or high blood pressure, as we normally call it, some of the risk factors are also being overweight, but then also having bad cholesterol can also be linked to high blood pressure, and then not being physically active, high salt diet, and we'll be looking at that. But also having diabetes can then increase my risk of developing hypertension or high blood pressure, excessive alcohol intake, of which we don't. And then just being me, somebody of African, Afro-Caribbean origin, my risk of high blood pressure is high, and that is due to genetics. And then the last one is hereditary. So what we now know is that people of African, Afro-Caribbean ancestry have increased risk of developing poor kidney health. Hence, it runs in families. Why we care about kidney health? Like I said, me, my risk is high. So we are more likely to develop poor kidney health and also more likely to progress faster. There are stages in kidney health, poor kidney health, and when somebody like me develops it, our progression towards where my kidney stops to function completely is faster than somebody who is a Caucasian. When it comes to also transplantation, we are less likely to receive a transplantation. And it's not because we do not want to donate, but a lot of genetics also plays a key role. Okay? So, like I mentioned from the beginning, 40% of the people we see in teens are from African, Afro-Caribbean ancestry. And we also tend to develop kidney failure, the last end of poor kidney health, 10 years younger than our white counterpart. For us, what worries us is that we still have a third of the population who do not know that they have poor kidney health. And we can see, so these are the stages. So the stage one and stage two, like I said, is very, very silent. The individual or the person doesn't feel anything until 70% of the 10 kilometers is lost. That is when people start feeling unwell. And most of the time, poor kidney health is picked up when people have gone to their GPs for something completely different. Something completely different. We see this as an epidemic. It doesn't know the poor, it doesn't know the rich, and it has increased and it is still increasing. When we look at the prediction, it doesn't look good. 17%, there will be a 17% further increase by 2030. So for us, what we want to do, we want to act now. We see the need for us to act now. And why do we want to act now? We want to protect ourselves, we want to protect our families and our friends and our community. We want to protect and promote productivity. We don't want people to end up on dialysis. So, what do we actually use in testing kidney health? And the simplest test we do is looking at the urine. Inside a healthy kidney, we will have small protein, which is called albumin. And if the kidneys are healthy, all this protein stays in the blood. However, when the kidneys are struggling, we can see some of this protein in the urine. So when we ask for a urine sample and we take the test, we put a dip in it. What we are looking for is to find out whether we can find this protein in the urine and then work with the individual to make sure that we promote their kidney health or maintain it where it is. So what can I do? And this is a question that we get asked most of the time. How can I promote my kidney health? What if I already have a risk factor? What do I do? So first, the most important, am I drinking enough water? Interestingly, Earth, our greatest treasure, about 70% or more than 70% of Earth is water. And the same is applicable of the human being. About 60% of our body is water. And we need to drink water. But our urine says it all. So am I drinking enough water? So next time you have a pee, please look at it and see whether this color is smiling at you, or we actually need to increase the amount of water we drink because water is really important. Very, very important. We cannot walk, talk, and do anything without water. The second one is food. Hmm. We like food, and for us as Africans, every event is full of music and food. But how much of it are we eating? What time especially are we eating? And what are we eating for? Because every food has its own function. If I'm eating a lot of starchy food, all I get from it is a lot of energy. If I am eating fish, chicken, which is protein food, they are going to provide me with energy, but they also build and repair my body tissues. And sometimes my friends will say, Rose, are you saying I shouldn't eat this? And I said, well, you've closed from work 9 o'clock, you are going to bed. Why do you need a big bowl of eba? You don't need it. Because eating that eba and not going to do anything, all that eba does is just sit there, turns into starch, and then adds on weight. So, what are we eating for? And what time are we having dinner? And I like this Quran verse: eat and drink, but avoid excess. I love it. Salt. Salt has a history in Africa. And fortunately or unfortunately, our tongue is used to high salt diet. However, salt is not our friend. Salt is our hidden enemy. Every food we eat naturally has salt in them. That is how God made them naturally. Adding additional salt is adding insult to injury. And we've come up with Maggi cube, all pepper seasoning. I can tell you all of them are salt. So When we have too much salt in our body, it holds on to extra water that then adds pressure onto the heart. This pressure is then transferred onto the kidneys. Okay? And some people will say, Rosemary, I just cannot cook without my cube. So what I've done is to find some low salt stock cube that I do recommend. And I am happy to send the slide when I finish with that so that we can use it as education purposes if it helps. I also have a video on Maggie Cube. I'm happy to send it to Hassan so that you can share it on the link on the network. That is to promote health awareness of some of these things that we may consider as good, but they're actually not good for us. Keep moving. Every step counts. Every step counts. Whether we are walking, taking the steps, even at home, every step counts. We don't need to go to the gym to actually keep physically active. Right inside our home, we can do this. So keeping physically active is good for the heart, but whatever is good for the heart is good for the kidneys as well. Okay. And what if I already have risk factors such as blood pressure and then diabetes? Key thing is keeping the numbers down, whether it's my pressure or whether it's the diabetes, keeping my blood sugar down with the diabetes, but also keeping my numbers down with the blood pressure. And again, it's the same things we've spoken about the salt in the diet and making sure that we have less fatty food or less processed food. And our steps keep it counting. And we go back to the two blessings, yeah, health and free time. It is rest. Having enough rest is really good for the heart and as well as for the kidneys. And if we already have medications, having a plan for those medications. When do I plan to take them? How will I let my GP know if a particular medication is not working for me so that they can change it? And I have to say that it's not every medication that works for everybody. So if a particular medication is not working well for either of us, please let us speak with our GPs. Okay? And keeping a good weight, and then let's work with our GPs to stay healthy. So one of the things we are passionate about is that we want to make kidney health a priority for our community, and hence the reason why we joined Kidney Research UK to sign that petition at Parliament. But we also want to use several opportunities and working with faith leaders to create awareness within our community and take the NHS into the community. And what we have successfully done is to train people within the community as kidney champions who go into the community and then speak to people about kidney health. When we come into the community, we use points of care so you get your results immediately. But a lot of the research that has been done on kidney health is not on Black people. They are not about me, it's more of white people. So we need you to join us so that together we can understand why we are at increased risk of poor kidney health and then work together. So we say, please do get involved. Again, we have a lot of research studies going on. Please do get involved. That is the only way we can find out why our risk is high and then work together to reduce kidney health, protect ourselves, protect our families, and protect our communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, for that beautiful presentation, very beautiful and clear. We thank you so much. I know there will be, questions to be taken, but I can assure you that, we have really, really benefited from your presentation. I myself have listed a few questions which we'll be asking, later. But before we start asking the questions, let's have a brief interlude. Control room.
Yes.
You might need to stop sharing the PowerPoint, please.
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Okay, I mean, sorry for that lack of sound. I mean, with those clips, it's just, I mean, reminding us about the Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center to build. I mean, you can be able to see that, I mean, we are trying as much as possible to get the Old Kent Road Mosque rebuilt to provide us, I mean, much more space for providing service to community. Um, all those who have been helping us, I mean, through donations in cash in kind, we thank you so much. We are in phase 2+ now, so we continue to call more for donations. I mean, to enable us to complete the project as soon as possible. We say Jazakumullah khairan, may Allah continue to reward every one of us. Anyone who wants to make a donation, you know, their association's account, you can continue to donate into the account as we proceed. We'll be coming back to that, but before we come back to that, I will be opening the door for questions now, based on the presentation by Sister Roslyn. As I said, I have a few questions myself, so I will start it. There are quite a number. Now, it is very troubling, as you rightly mentioned, that among the African Caribbean race, the proportion, I mean, is high in relation to, I mean, kidney diseases. Now, does this have anything to do with lifestyle, what we eat, and things like that? So perhaps, I mean, if you can identify that, then perhaps maybe there's a way of checking that. I don't know what research has shown, but I just want us to know whether it has anything to do with, I mean, the general lifestyle of, I mean, the Afro-Caribbean people. Now, the second question is, you did talk about the fact that, I mean, the kidney regulates blood pressure. So it regulates blood pressure. Now, I mean, therefore, I just wanted to find about if one has blood pressure, is that a sign that your kidney has a problem, or is it the blood pressure that affects the kidney? I mean, I don't know whether is it the other way around, or so is it an indication? For example, I mean, most Africans have blood pressure. Does it mean that if you have blood pressure, hypertension, does it mean that, well, it's a sign that your kidney is failing? Or so that's one. The third one, I have four questions. So the third one, you talked about, I mean, you talked about the test.
Yeah.
Can this be done personally? Can you buy the kit and do it yourself? And is it reliable? You know, these kits, are they reliable? You know? And finally, you said we have two kidneys, but one is enough. Now, the point is, the question, I mean, it might be a stupid question. Now,
No.
if you say one is enough, are both working at the same time and can both be affected? Or is one in reserve while perhaps maybe it's only one that can be affected? Do you get my point? Now, if both
Yeah.
are working the same time, it means perhaps maybe, can both of them be affected at the same time? Or is it only one that can be affected at a time and then the other one can take over when there's an issue? So I know, I mean, these are practical questions which I think perhaps maybe you might benefit from. And
Yeah.
then perhaps, I mean, the floor will be open, control room. Um, if there are any further questions after this, we'll be happy to take them. Okay, let's give you the opportunity to answer those questions first.
Okay. So the first one you were asking, the percentage that I mentioned was very worrying, that 40% of the people we see in King's College are African Afro-Caribbean. And you wanted to find out whether it is because of lifestyle that or something we are eating. So whilst lifestyle may play a role, I had also mentioned from the beginning that we know that genetics, so first of all, we have increased risk of high blood pressure. So that high blood pressure may contribute to the development of kidney disease if we do not take care of the pressure. So genetics is one, and my colleague Delva is on.
What's
Something has happened
happening?
to the screen.
Please take
Something has
this
happened
off.
to the screen. Thank you.
Okay, I gone. Yeah.
That's okay. So genetics plays a significant role, and we have found out there are certain kidney diseases that are very common in the African Afro-Caribbean, and mainly it is because of genetics. So that in particular may not be related to lifestyle, but lifestyle also plays a significant role. So when I talk about lifestyle, predominantly I'm talking about our salt intake, which is one of the factors that is driving hypertension or high blood pressure within our community, but also our food. So, and this is very interesting when a colleague of mine tried to analyze. So, most of us, or some of us, were born in Africa. And what we used to eat in Africa, some of us are still eating the same amount.
Yeah.
However, what we used to do in Africa is not what we are doing here. So, we may realize that back in the days when we were born, we used to walk a lot. We were more of a physically active people. There were
Yeah.
less transportation. We were more physically active. And I still remember we have dinner around 6 o'clock. And after you've had dinner, that is when you're going to fetch water, clean the house, clean the pots, do all of that. So by the
Yeah.
time we're going to bed, we've actually used all the food
Those. Yeah.
energy. So you go to
Yeah.
bed and you utilize it, and hence there is nothing. Reverse, bring it back to parents now. Majority of us are not working. So we are working longer than our parents did, except in the farming community. And after we come back from work and we have our big bowl of amala, fufu, banku, wache, the next thing is we are going to sit down and then listen to the news. So all that energy that I've put in, what am I using that energy for? Precisely nothing. And hence we can see that if we look back 50 years till now, gradually, we are becoming more and more overweight than we used to be. Our parents, great grandparents live longer than us, but we are currently, so lifestyle also plays a role, whereas genetics also plays a role. And I would ask, my colleague has just shown you, I would ask Dalby to throw a bit more light on how genetics play a role in kidney disease. Dalby, over to you.
Hello, hi there. So I'm one of
Hello.
hi, I'm one of Rosalind's colleagues. I'm a kidney doctor also at King's. So I'm working in the same group, and we're actually focusing on what we think is the kind of African ancestry genetic components towards kidney disease. We think that much of that excess risk in the Black population is related to a certain two changes in the DNA that we inherit from our parents in a specific gene called apolipoprotein L1. And these two changes that we inherit are only found in the Black population, although we all have this gene, every ethnicity. And it actually originated, these two changes, probably about 10,000 years ago, back in West Africa. And it's actually most common in Nigerians. So actually the Yoruba tribe actually has the most common prevalence of these two gene changes. And the reason why it came about is that it was actually, if you had one or two of these changes, you were protected against a parasite called trypanosome, causing African sleeping sickness. And if you had one or two, you were protected. However, now that people are living longer, people are developing chronic health conditions, cardiovascular disease, and two changes have been found to increase your lifetime risk of developing kidney disease. And it's actually so common that 1 in every 8 people in the Black population have got two changes, but that doesn't necessarily mean you are going to definitely get kidney disease. There has to be something else that happens during your lifetime, maybe becoming very unwell, picking up a virus, having COVID. We know during the COVID pandemic, the COVID virus was a big trigger in kidney disease. And we found that people from Afro-Caribbean backgrounds had poorer outcomes. But what we're doing here at King's is actually focusing on that question. Why is it that some people get kidney disease and other people don't? Because we've actually known about this APOL1 gene, apolipoprotein L1, for the last 14 years. However, there's still no licensed treatments at all. And we've looked at our kidney patients here at King's, and we've got the largest black kidney disease population in the whole of the UK, and we still can't offer any treatments yet, just because we just don't know why people still get it. We don't know what this gene actually does. So in one of the last slides that Rosalind had shown, we're actually doing a very large research project across South London, trying to get people without kidney disease and also with kidney disease from the Black community involved, just to volunteer to have a free health check with us. And with this health check, we can screen for diabetes, screen for the early signs of kidney disease through the urine and a blood test. We can screen for diabetes and do a liver check too. And we actually can test people if they have this gene change or not. And what we're doing is taking an extra blood sample and urine sample, and we're using it for research to help our kidney patients. Because over half of our Black kidney disease patients here at King's, they have two changes. And we want to be able to offer them the best treatment in the future. And the only way we can do that is by doing research into this.
I hope that answers that question about why African Afro-Caribbean are at higher risk. And you also talked about the high blood pressure, so I've mentioned that briefly. And then the third question was on the test that I mentioned, the one that I said we use point of care. So we have two different or three different machines that we are currently using. So one that tests for urine, which we bring into the community, one that also tests for blood, that is finger prick that we use. And the question is, and then there is one that uses your phone to actually test do the test. So you've asked whether these are easily accessible and then are they reliable? Yes, they are. However, the one that you use, the smartphone, is actually not easily available for people to buy, as in you cannot go to the pharmacy and then buy that, because some GPs are currently using that. So although it is there, it is not easily accessible. However, what Dalvi and I offer is that we then come into the community. So we have trained African Afro-Caribbean people as kidney champions. So what we do is come into the community, and we've gone to a few mosques. So we'll come into the community, and what we do is that then we then screen everybody there. And then if we identify anybody with that protein that I was talking about, what we do is then follow the person up together with their GP to make sure we check, is this early sign of kidney problem? And if it isn't, what could have contributed to that? Because sometimes it may be that a person has not drank enough water. But if we find out that it is an early sign of kidney disease, then we work with the person and then their GP to maintain and then promote their kidney health. What we want to do is to stop people ending up on dialysis. So that is what we do. And the fourth question was, I said we all have two kidneys and that we can live with one, and that do both kidneys work at the same time? Yes. Can one kidney be damaged and the other one not damaged? Yes. And if one kidney is damaged, can the other kidney pick up and then do the work? Yes. So all those questions are yes, 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 yes. So somebody has asked me, Rosalind, do you just take a kidney from one person? No, we don't do that. We check. So we would run a total health check, including a risk. And then we do, so like Dalvin mentioned, we do genetics just to make sure that we are not putting that particular individual at risk. So we run all of that to make sure that individual is not at risk of they themselves developing kidney problems within the future before we take that kidney and then give it to another person. So those are the four questions answered, and I am hoping that I have answered them well. And if it is
Yes,
not,
thank you
please
so
do
much.
let me
Thank you
know.
very, very much. So, control room, do you have any other persons that are wanting to ask questions?
Yes, please. Could you please explain more how we can support this initiative you talked about?
Thank you very much. So first of all, what we do is that, like today, we've had an online discussion. The other thing we could do is that we could then arrange a date with you that suits you. Then we come into the mosque, we wait for after prayers, and then we screen everybody. So what we'll do is that we'll do weight, height, blood pressure. Then we ask for urine sample, and we do all of this tests right there in the mosque, and then we follow people up. So we don't want you to come to us, we come to you and we do it right there. So how you will support us in doing that is actually engaging with it. So when we come over, is that participating, but also spreading the word and then encouraging people to opt for healthy lifestyle. So that is how you can support us. Bringing us into your community for us to run a kidney health check together with myself and Endow there, but then also spreading the word about the importance of kidney health.
Good.
We've got Aya Shams. Sister Muka, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask two questions. You talked about salt intake.
Yes.
So there's this popular thing going on about pink salt.
Yeah.
Is that helpful? That is one question. And then we have had young children, like as young as 2, 3, who have become diabetic. Does the kidney play a role in that? How do we look after our children? Now we're hearing how we can look after ourselves as adults. What do we put on the table for our homes? What role does food play? Finally, do you have champions across UK or only in your borough? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So interesting. Salt. And I've had a lot of people also asking me, Rosalind, people say that Himalayan salt is very good or rock salt is very good. And then I say, okay, I want you to tell me, what did you say at first? Then they say, what do you mean? You said Himalayan salt. So it is still salt. So what I would like to say is that every food naturally, every food already contains salt, whether it is mango, whether it is orange, even ordinary water that we drink already has its essential salt component in it. Every single food. That is how God made each of them, every single food. Now, if we trace back the history of using salt, so the history of using salt, as I know, it started from food preservation. So back in the days when there were no refrigerators, that is how we preserved food, whether it was fish, whether it was vegetables, whether it was protein or meat, beef, lamb. That is how we preserve it. So we put them in brine, and brine is just salty water because we realize that when we soak those meat or whatever food product in salt, they do not go to waste. That is how that whole preservation started. Now, fast forward to evolution of refrigerators. So we had refrigerators and we could freeze our food and didn't need to use brine. However, by that time, our taste bud has already gotten used to that salt intake. So for a lot of us, we struggle having foods which do not contain salt. Some people say, Rosemary, it just tastes it's so tasteless. And what I have successfully done is to gradually show people how, first of all, to cook with no salt. What spices you can use to actually ensure that the food still tastes that way, how you can cook that food. So let's say you want to prepare roasted chicken. How can you prepare that chicken with no salt, such that it tastes the same way? And what I do is to teach my patient, well, marinate the chicken overnight. You can use your ginger, pepper, onion, garlic. Marinate your chicken, leave it overnight, no salt, and then grill it. No frying, no boiling, no steaming, grill it. And it tastes the same way. So it is how can we gradually get ourselves away from the salt as well as the Maggi cube or pepper seasoning, Ajinomoto, Ajikama. Now, all those things are flavor enhancers, but I can tell you they are also monosodium glutamate. That is monosodium salt glutamate. So As parents, first of all, we need to move ourselves away from the salt. Additionally, we have an epidemic going on where if we look at our high street, all our high street is not just food vendors. So today's generation do not like eating from home. They rather prefer to eat from the high street. Two big problems we see: salt, fat intake. And this is gradually driving high blood pressure. And the long term, now I have to say that it's not everybody with high blood pressure who ends up getting kidney disease. I have to say that. However, we know that high blood pressure among the African Afro-Caribbean ancestry is one of the driving force for poor kidney health. What can we do to actually protect our children? And is to start introducing them to the healthy diet right from home, cooking. So if we start from home with the reducing salt, our children get used to the reducing salt right from home. And then they would not like the food from outside. I mean, I've been here for a longer time, and it's taking the UK government a longer time for them to even reduce salt intake. So there was that whole government push about, we've always known that this is bad for us. It's taking the government a longer push to cut down on salt intake as well as sugar intake. I say that there is reverse public health. So which public health is it that a bottle of water is more expensive than fizzy drink? Now that doesn't make sense to me. But that is the current system in which we live in. So we need to start training our children to like water. Majority of us still give our children fizzy drinks and all of that to take to school. We need to stop doing that and start introducing them to water. A friend said to me, Rosalind, nowadays, if people see you eating and all you have on your table is a bottle of water, they say you are poor. I said, I would rather be poor than to be sorry. Health is a priceless gift God has given us, and we need to take good care of it. It's not everything out there that is helpful. And we as individuals need to be custodians of this gift God has given us. We need to be the custodians of the gift God has given us and actually choose, is this healthy for me? Is this not healthy for me? And then do that. So with our children, you also mentioned about children being diabetic. So for a child to have diabetes, most of the time that is type 1 diabetes. And genetics plays a key role. So that is not so much of a lifestyle. Genetics plays a key role. However, there are times that issues during pregnancy may also increase the likelihood of the unborn child developing diabetes um, after being born, or if there is a history of diabetes in the family. So I know that currently there are children who are diabetic, but then also we have to look at our children who are becoming overweight and then take that. It is our responsibility. And our children are our future leaders. They are our future. We need to protect our future by protecting our children and making sure that we have healthy foods. Interestingly, we also know that there are current generation who prefer not to eat what mommy has cooked, because what mommy has cooked is not nice. That is what they say. And you know what I would say? Let's bring them into the kitchen. Let's start working with them and then encourage them into cooking right from when they are younger, so that their desire to eat outside then becomes occasional. Because it's not that I would say don't eat outside. No, occasionally have a meal outside. But when it becomes an everyday thing, that is when we end up putting a lot of bad things into this blessing that God has given us. Thank you.
Sorry, the final question was that do you have champions across UK,
Oh,
or you're
yes.
just based in a borough?
Thank you. So we started this project three years ago. And when we started, the funding we got was just for Southeast London. So at the moment, the champions we have trained are only in Southeast London. However, I can assure you, we have been invited and we've gone all the way into the Midlands. This Saturday, we are in Telford. So we do not limit ourselves to just working this way. we are working with the Birmingham group because what they want to do is to also train the Asian community in Birmingham, something similar so that they can do the same thing. So we are not limited. However, we are still looking for funding to actually expand this. I have to say the London Kidney Network and Kidney Research UK are actually interested in this project, and what they would like us to do is to roll this across the whole of UK. So that is the vision for reducing kidney health inequalities.
Thank you.
Further questions?
We've
There's
got
one hand raised.
questions, yeah. Basirat Adeleye, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, everyone.
Mhm.
I'm joining this educative meeting from Nigeria, and it's been insightful in a lot of ways that I didn't know about. So, as a Nigerian, how can we initiate this, even if we can't get to this point that you are in UK? One. Two is this training you do, is it only for people based in UK? So those are my two questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I would say that at the moment it is in UK. However, even in Nigeria, you can start raising awareness by giving similar talks like this in churches and in local area. So I am more than happy to actually touch base with you and then equip you with tools and other skills that you can use to actually start your own little campaign in Nigeria. The key thing is that we know that poor kidney health is a global problem. It's not just here. And in developing countries and underdeveloped countries, it is actually worse. So happy to give you tools and skills for you to start your own local raising awareness within the Nigerian community or your local area.
Thank you.
Sorry, for you to crown my question now, how do I reach you? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So please contact Hassan. Hassan has our details, and Hassan will give you my email address as well as I'm not sure whether Hassan has my number, but I would give Hassan my number as well. And please do get in touch with me because this is a matter that is dear to me.
Yes. Sister Basirat, you can put your phone number in the chat. Put your phone number, Nigerian phone number in the chat, and we'll arrange, inshallah, for you to get in touch with Sister Roslyn. So just put your phone number in the chat, and we'll get back to you, inshallah. Control room, any further questions?
Yeah, somebody's asking how to contact regarding outreach, and the person said they're based in Royal Borough of Greenwich.
Greenwich, okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. That is still in the southeast of London, and we've actually gone to the village mosque before. So please, the same way, do get in touch. And if you leave your number with Brother Hassan, get in touch, and then I'll get that, and we can arrange that.
Yes, anybody who wants to reach out, you can put your numbers in the chat box, and we'll make arrangement to get back in touch with you and then connect you. So you want to reach out, just put your phone number in the chat box, inshallah, and we will do the rest. Any further questions? Control room?
In similar vein, someone wants to know when soon you'll be coming to do the physical event you talked about in the Old Kent Road Mosque.
Thank you very much. I would leave that with Brother Hassan so that we can discuss the logistics about that. Thank you.
Yes, that will be arranged, inshallah, and then we'll keep you posted. You just keep joining all you who believe every week, and we'll keep you posted on that. After we have arranged, you will get to know Bismillah. Okay. Thank you so much. Sister Roslyn and Mr. Dalvir, thank you so much for this very, very enlightening presentation. We have all really been educated, and we have a responsibility, as you rightly mentioned, to look after ourselves, to promote our good health, because health is a trust which God has endowed us with, and we have to make sure that we protect it. We thank you so much, And both of you, we pray that, this time you've spent with us will be counted on your scale of good deeds and you will be rewarded for it. And we hope, very soon we'll be able to make the art arrangement for you to come and do the presentation, the testing at the Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center. Thank you so much for your time. And perhaps maybe before we round up, it's already after 8 o'clock. We want to thank everyone who has been with us today, inshallah. And until we meet next week, let me hand over back to
Sorry,
Madam Hassan.
sorry, Prof. The OU believe for today.
Okay. The OU believe for today. Madam Hassan continue speaking. I will bring it up for us in a minute.
Alhamdulillah.
Wale? No.
Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah Azza wa Jalla, who has placed us indeed in this community. It's a thing for you to have challenges, and that thing for you to be able to find solutions. Wallahi, we are richly blessed. It's only for us to search within ourselves, and there are solutions, answers to all our questions. Let me quickly run through one or two announcements before Prof come back. It's about inshallah 21st. That is this Saturday, 21st of September, we shall be having our online fundraising starting 2 p.m. This same link that you use in joining, that is what we'll be using. Whatever, no matter how small, it's seemingly small to you. Wallah, it's big before Allah, and you will be doubly rewarded for it. Inshallah, 2 p.m. Don't forget, don't come alone. Make sure you invite somebody else. Over to you again, Prof.
Jazakumullahu khairan jaza. Thank you. And as Wali said, we look forward to everyone joining us for the launching the fundraising next week. All you who believe today is Quran chapter 2, verse 153. One of the things that Sister Roslyn mentioned was we should reduce our salt intake. For you to be able, it takes a lot of patience, and as believers, Allah addresses, Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O ye who believe, ista'inu bis sabri was salah, help yourself with patience and prayers. So you need a lot, you take it a little bit, this is not, but if you have patience with it, by the time you know it, you get used to it. So, I want us to reflect over Quran chapter 2, verse 153. Allah says, O ye who believe, help yourselves with patience and prayer. Inna Allah ma'a sabirin, because Allah, God, is always with those who are patient. That thing you think is difficult, if you are patient with it, God will make it easy for you. So we thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next week, inshallah. Wali, sign us off. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, the time is fast spent, but Alhamdulillah, well spent, inshallah. It's not just spent, it's well invested, because every second we spend here learning and, of course, benefiting others will go a very long way, measuring in a scale of good deeds. Alhamdulillah, a class, our e-magazine, the 4th edition is cooking. Yes, it's cooking. Lots of flavor, but not salty, inshallah. We will make it salty this time around, and may Allah make it. Make sure that you have a connection, and we can also make sure you read, you get a copy of a class that is our e-magazine at Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center. This month, healthy living, mobile phone training, inshallah, hopefully Sunday. Just make sure you come to the mosque, and we will teach you again how you can use the mobile phone to help your health. MANUK needs you. MANUK needs you. This is the time for you to join MANUK. Get in touch with the secretariat, inshallah. Sister Basirat Adeleye from Nigeria, you can be rest assured we'll get in touch with you. Not only her, anyone who have any inquiries regarding MANUK, make sure you write to the secretariat at manuk.org. Secretariat at manuk.org. Inshallah, we will attend to your inquiries and we'll get across to you. With that, I come to the end of the program today. I hope you've been able to learn one thing or the other. Don't forget, Saturday, starting 2 p.m. Saturday, 21st of September. This this Saturday. Just make sure you join us using this same link.
Brother
Inshallah.
Wale, before you go, there's a number of question and answer, a number of information on question and answer because the chat is disabled.
Okay.
Please, yeah.
So all the questions, I'm very sure the control will take note of these questions and we will attend to it. We pray Allah Azza wa Jalla to make it easy. I'll be there on Saturday, and immediately after the fundraising, Alhaji Abdulakim Amode, who passed on, will be arranging a special dua for him at Salatul Rahman, inshallah, starting 5 p.m. That's immediately after the fundraising. Till then, I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salli ala Muhammad, salli
ala Muhammad.
Allahumma ya Rabbi, salli
ala Muhammad.
Sidi Sadati,
Sayyidina Muhammad.
Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye all. Bye.
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 Bye, Sister Roslyn.
Bye. Thank you so much.
We have a number of contacts for her, Brother Wale, so you will need to send it to her, please.
Inshallah, that will be done.